Hi guys, welcome to Next Telly. Today is another Sunday commentary, and for the month of February we've been discussing the topic rethinking marriage. Okay, and for what we've learned so far in our take one, or rethinking marriage part one, we talked about us finding out the points, like what is the point, why are we doing this. We discussed the way society or things around our environment, the different ways that they've made us to make this marriage of a thing to become so important that all of us feel like we need to do it. Then in tape two, we talked about, or rethinking marriage part two, we talked about how honesty is one of the driving reasons why marriages may not succeed very well, because a lot of us we've done this thing where we be like, okay, we must marry, but we are not willing to be honest with both ourselves and our spouses, and it creates chaos. Now, this series was brought up because, first of all, I told you guys I love talking about marriage. That's number one. But number two is like, there's a saying, and that is that everything that is going wrong with the world can easily be connected to parenting, because family is the first unit of every society. So it's from the smallest unit, human beings or people are not being raised to be responsible, accountable, enviable, and valuable, then we're in trouble. And I feel like we may actually be there as a people. Anyway, so this part three, I want to talk about something, and that is the distance between the thoughts and the action. Okay, I kept thinking of a nice bougie way that I can say it so that it can sound, but all I can come up with is the space between thoughts and action. I'm sure somewhere, if you go and do some research, you might be able to find a better way to say, but this is the only way I could say, because I want to be able to say it well, and then we can all understand and go along. So now, have you ever heard the concept is the thought that counts? Yeah. So I think that a lot of us, again, I talked about how in rethinking marriage, you have to find what is the point. Why are you doing this? Who are you with, and what do you want to do with the person? Because a lot of us don't know how long marriage actually is. Like, a lot of us are not aware, and a lot of us just believe that because now divorce is so easily achievable. Not easily, but it's easy to divorce now. Easier. Okay, it's easier, because I don't think it's easier, especially if you're in Nigeria. If it's easier to now get a divorce, can get up and say I want to get a divorce, and you can start a proceeding. So because of that, a lot of us enter marriage thinking, well, if it doesn't go right, I can just divorce. The divorce process also comes with its own emotional, physical, mental baggages that even years after you're done with the divorce, the problem will still be there. So a lot of times I just say, when you're thinking of marriage, think of the rest of your life. So think of it, if I end up with this person now, you're 25 years old, you're 30 years old, you get married now, and you have to live and you live till 30. That means you have 60 years to spend with this person. Now imagine that after 10 years you divorce this person. So 10 years after, there's still another 80 years wow, that math was wild. Another 50 years that I have to now think of, okay, so I married, so like, yeah, you have that baggage, the baggage of having married this person for 10 years before now. So try and think of it that way. So I think something that happens a lot of times, and I think we need to address, is a lot of us enter relationships because we believe that we must marry. A lot of us enter relationships with the thoughts in mind. Okay, so let me explain what thoughts and action actually means. A lot of us say it's the thoughts that counts. A lot of times, let me use ourselves first. That's a number one flaw a lot of us have. A lot of us judge people based on the action that they've done, and then we judge ourselves based off the thoughts we had in mind. Okay, so let's say both of us do something. My husband and I were together, and I said something that was rude. No, to him. To me, I didn't intend to be rude. So my thoughts is not to be rude. But then he came out and he was rude. Augustus is rude. In my mind, I'm like, it's not that, like, I didn't mean it the way he saw it. Like, if I say, please don't embarrass me. I think this one is very common. I say, please don't embarrass me. Like, a friend of mine is coming and I say, please don't embarrass me like that. But I actually meant it as a joke. So I'm using the thoughts to judge. I actually, like, it's a joke now. Why are you angry? And Oga is like, what do you mean I should not embarrass you? What do you mean? You get? So it's the same thing. So imagine again, we go somewhere else and then Oga tells me, don't embarrass me. I am focused on the action of him actually saying. So I'm thinking, who do you think you are that you can talk to me that way? Do you understand? Like, what are you self? You get? So I get angry. So even he's thinking, I didn't mean it like that. I was joking. Okay, this is not based off real event. I'm not gonna lie, but I know that I've heard people say that this kind of thing has happened between them. Sometimes friends, sometimes couples, and the space between the thought and the action is the driving force of a lot of great relationships. The reason why you're good friends with your parents. You're good as those that are good friends with their parents. Yeah. The great relationships that you have to understand that the thought is what the driving issue is. So it's like when you're looking at them, you're thinking, okay, they didn't feel like you understand what they mean. That's what when they say someone is an understanding spouse, understanding girlfriend, understanding boyfriend. That's what causes all those things. You understand when you're thinking more of the thoughts than the action. Okay, I hope you're following me. Okay, when you're focused more on the thoughts, like, okay, this person may have said, don't embarrass me, but I'm sure she was joking, even though you felt a certain kind of way. You're thinking, I'm sure the person is joking. You're focused on the thoughts the person had in mind before the person said what they said. So like when you now want to address it, you can now be like, I didn't like the way he said that. Can you not do that next time? So the possibility of you blowing up is a little lower. I think that understanding this balance, the balance between the thought and the action, is what will make you be a fantastic relationship person, in as a friend, as a kid, as a parent, as a co-worker, as a spouse, as everything. Even when you have domestic staff, the understanding the balance between thoughts and action with yourself and with people, it makes it easy for you to get along very, very well. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is before we get married. Okay, and this is me talking based off, I don't know whether it is real everywhere, because I feel like, the people I know, they are very small, but I'm talking based off, my own community. That's the way I look at it. And I'm a church girl, I'm an Igbo girl, so it's like there's a lot of understanding before time. I believe that there's a time. I don't like to use I don't like to use a graph to say there's a time to it. Do you understand? I really, really think that if you're not in a relationship now and you meet someone that you think you like, no matter how much you like, because what happens is that when you like somebody a lot, it blinds you. That's where things like thoughts comes in. So when the guy does some things, and I'm talking to you girls, okay, when the guy does something, you're thinking, I thought, okay, yes, this is very popular with money. So it's like when it comes to money, the guy doesn't give you money or doesn't buy you a gift, you think, well, the guy is struggling with his work, so I can understand that. And the more you focus on the thoughts of that, you focus on what you think the person is thinking, the more understanding you are. So a lot of people have been in relationships for 11 years. They are not married. Well, just saying, people have been engaged for the past 11 years. I feel like what's causing that problem in that relationship is that one person is focused on the thought of the other person. So when you're so focused on, you don't want to come across a certain way, or this is what the person had in mind, when you're focused on those things, do you understand? You have a very, very high tendency to be taken for granted. I think that if you like someone, until you get to the point where you're actually married, I think that you should never focus on the thoughts. Focus on action. Like, don't even make it balance. Focus on action. Go. If you just met somebody now, the person says, I love you, is amazing. And that's where the things of words and action come inside. There are people that say, I love, every other day they get text message, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. You're the best that ever happened to me. Without you, the sun doesn't shine, blah, blah, blah. But outside, they're treating you like rubbish. So it's like, but because you're hearing the words, some of us, words of affirmation is very important to us, because we're hearing the words, we feel like, oh no, he loves us. It's just that, he was with his boys, so like, that's how you just keep understanding things. Are you following me? So a lot of these things have led people into marriages that they don't plan. Do you understand? Like, I talked about honesty. Honesty a lot. Dishonesty has a lot to do with speech a lot of times, but it's not always all the time. Sometimes the way you live is dishonest. But I'm just talking about thoughts and action. So when you just meet someone you're dating, even if you're dating for 3 years, in that 3 years, focus on the action. In that action, you can tell what the person thinks about you. You can tell the way the person plans to treat you. You can tell the value that the person has or doesn't have. If there are people that talk to their parents anyhow, Emma Binu, you're going to be talked to anyhow. Just prepare your heart. Because the parents, let's say the guy married at 50. Let's say he married at 50 and at 51, parents have died. He's going to be with you for another 40, 50. You're the person that's going to take the rest. I don't know if you understand. Even if they don't do it initially, they might do it later. People that keep malice with their siblings, they will keep malice with you. It's only a matter of time. There are people that you see, everything bad has happened to me. My boss did this one. My girlfriend did this one. My sibling did this one. My neighbor did this one. The lizard in my house, everybody, something did. Prepare. Do you understand? Prepare. You're going to have a throne in amongst the people that did something to that person. So, and again, yes, there's a place of the speech in this. But the thing is that in the action, you can tell. Some people find flaws in everything. Some people are wonderful, loving people. Some people, when you see them with their friends, you can tell that they are loved and they love their friends. It's not in what they say. So it's like the thing where a lot of us have fallen into this trap where there's a guy, as a woman, like I said, there's a guy, he's always telling you, you're so amazing, you're so beautiful. But like when he's with his friends, he feels the need to throw you under the bus, or he just throws side, whatever, anyhow, Maybe not you, another person, actually. Because the way life works, you may not be the first, but as time goes by, you will likely be number one in the situation. You get. And when they are angry, how they act Again, back to action. Generosity. How do they handle generosity? How do they handle discomfort? How do they handle anger, frustration? So all those things coming together. When you do all those things together, you will now you start to know who you're really with. One, because that's the most important part. Then how that person has placed you in the grand scheme of things. There's a saying, I don't know how true it is, but they said that if you want to know somebody, see the way they treat staff below them. I feel like that's a long thing, actually. I think that it doesn't have to be someone below them. What if you guys never go out? There are people that are inside a relationship and their relationship is closed until it opens. Do you understand? And it's closed like until, let's say, I'm in Lagos. If I was working 9 to 5 and every morning at 6 I'm out of the house, same thing with him. That means we see and we do a relationship for like 4 or 5 months. That means that in 4 or 5 months we may have seen maybe 8 times or 12 times. You know, that kind of thing. Just a few times during the weekend. We just spend time. See, we spend 2 or 3 hours. It's not enough for you to get to know somebody. Not if you're not intentional with knowing the person. If you're too carried away with, oh, he really loves me, he told me he loves me, and you're too carried away with that, you're not paying attention to what you're about to enter inside. We are talking about marriage. I'm not talking about dating just because you want to date. I'm talking about dating. If you're dating and your focus is on marriage, you have to look at it that way. The distance between thoughts, between thoughts and action. When they say it's the thought that can, some of you don't get thoughts, not even they don't think they do not think of you in anything, and it shows, and you allow it. You allow it. I remember one of my cousins when I was much younger. Now at this point I didn't even stay this. I was like in SS1 or so. She was staying in my house. She was in school, and there was this guy that she was crazy about. When I tell you she loved that guy, it was so weird to me. Like I was like, I don't understand this kind of love, because this guy did not like her, and I could tell. The guy only called her when he needed money for something or he needed help with something. And this is the guy that after she was going to say she was engaged, they were going to get married. And the guy told her, that's interesting. The guy told her, yeah, we're going to marry. But the actions, like when the day I made mistake and asked her, but this person, do you think, hey, she starts shouting at me. I left the matter. I was a young girl. I didn't know or understand anything per se. You know, she was in 3rd year university then. So the thing is that you have to pay attention to actions. The more you love yourself, the more you have to pay attention to the way people. I know they say when people tell you who they are, accept them the first time. Accept it the first time. Let me tell you a story of something interesting that happened to me. There was this guy that's one of my cousins. That's before I got married. Like maybe I think even the year before I started dating. That's the year I married. No, the year I started dating my husband. I don't know why I'm speaking English. Like the year I started dating my husband. I started dating my husband. I think it was in September. No, not September. I think it was in October that we started dating. So earlier that year, my cousin, a girl, was like, this guy that she really thinks we're going to get along. She just thinks that we're going to work, blah blah blah. This guy stayed in Rainbow in Lagos. Rainbow is towards First Stack. Then I was staying at Okwebi. Okwebi is around the Ikeja. And she was like, no, that the guy is a pastor, youth pastor in church, and that how the guy she just thinks that we're going to get along well and all that. And I said, okay, fine. Why no? Let's meet the guy. So we went to Chicken Republic in Okwebi. If you know Adebola, if you know Ikeja at all, you will know Adebola house in Okwebi, the bus stop. So Chicken Republic is just opposite Adebola house. So I was like, I don't let people I don't know don't enter my house. My house is not far from there. But I told him, you cannot come to my house. So we just sat down in Chicken Republic, and he asked me if I wanted to eat anything. I didn't. He wanted to eat, so he ate. And we spent like, I think it was 2 hours. And I'm telling you, I had one of the best conversations I've had, because something I noticed about dating in Lagos. First of all, I had a crazy dating. Maybe one of these Sunday commentary I'll talk about it. Dating in Lagos, I enjoyed dating in Lagos. There were crazy, good, bad, ugly, strange relationships, but this was one of the things I found wonderful about him, because it wasn't very common. Having wonderful conversations with someone, just sitting down, just gisting with the person. Do you understand? And we just sat down. I laughed so hard. We got to know each other. We're talking. So this what happened for almost 2 hours. Like I remember I used to go to very early service. So I came back from church around, I think it was around 1. So he was around 2. Then around 4 or maybe even 4:30, he gets a call. And he picks up the call and tells the person on the call that he is close to where he's going to. He said, oh, by the way, he said, Pastor. He answered the person, so, oh, Pastor, yeah. No, don't worry, I'm close. I'll be there by 5. Don't worry, I'm there, I'm close. I'm just at this. The person said, where are you now? The guy said, I'm around Rainbow Bus Stop. Rainbow Bus Stop and First Tag. If you're in Lagos, maybe I should write a time. I will use Google Maps and tell you guys how long it is when there's no traffic. Then how long it is when there's traffic. And it was as if someone poured ice water on me. I looked at him. I could not believe he said that. And then he finished talking to the guy. I said, no, that he'll be there, and then he drops the phone. And then I asked him, Did you just lie? You know, say, that, I don't, that, because like I said, we have gotten so warm and kind of fuzzy. We have gotten very comfortable around each other. You're like, you don't understand the issue with my pastor. If I tell him that I'm at Allen, I'm at Okwebi now, he's going to turn it into a whole thing. I mean, I'm not ready for that one. Blah 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 blah. And I suppose that he's supposed to take care of by 5, but those people normally come. Like, he had a whole reason why it made sense. So I kept looking at him and saying, I was like, so you lied? And the guy goes on, no. I was like, and you thought lying was the best way? Like, I just couldn't understand that this was what you chose to do. But that was the last time. That was last time. So he called me a few days after, but after that, I just left, because I was like, the comfort that you take, he's a pastor. He lied to a pastor. The comfort that you have to lie. And to me, I believe that I'm not that big. I'm a small person in the grand scheme of things. I'm going to marry someone. To an extent, I'm subject to the person. Okay, I'm speaking as a feminist. I'm subject to, I have to be with somebody that the person tells me good morning. I don't have to look outside to check whether it's morning or evening. I don't know if you understand. I cannot be surrounded by lies. So for me, the words he said, it said what I needed to know. His action, being okay with lying, as in, I continued that conversation. He eventually left around 5, and he went. But that was last time. If I see him tomorrow, I don't know if I recognize him. You get? But that was the only time. That day my cousin called me. Oh, what happened? I was like, auntie, it's not working. But I couldn't tell her why. Because he's a pastor in her church, So I just think that before you, when you're still trying to date, do you understand? Or if your relationship is making you confused, I feel like a lot of times when you're confused, when you feel confused about the relationship, you are not at peace. That's usually what it is. If you feel like I don't understand how he feels about me, I don't understand what's happening. I don't know, something's wrong. Do you understand? I always say investigate. Especially if you're already married to the person and the relationship that was one way suddenly starts to confuse you, investigate and find out what it is. It may not be a bad thing, but find out something new has been introduced into your relationship. Usually that's the case. Okay, so I talked about how the thoughts to the action, okay, is what you should pay attention to before you date, and then after you even marry. Do you understand? Try to pay more attention. I feel like get deaf. Stop talking. Stop listening. It doesn't matter what the person says, I'm telling you. If the person did not tell you I love you every day, and they treat you the way they treat you, would you be okay with it? Because I believe that I love you is like music. It has multiple languages. There are people that were in love without even understanding, speaking to each other, until they learned how to talk. And they never felt less loved. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened. Did you tell your child I love you every day for them to know that you love them? It shows in the action. I don't know if you understand. So if you're with somebody and the action is not giving, like, rethink. It's hard, but please rethink. So that's one. 2 is now after you marry. If you've been married for a while, I think that as time goes by, what you do when you start focusing more on the thoughts, when they say it's the thought that counts, when you focus more on the thoughts, that is what happens after you've gotten to know somebody well. Do you understand? Just like you do with yourself. When you say something to someone like, don't embarrass me, you're focusing on the thoughts that you have. That's why you don't see the big deal with what you said, even though the person is upset. Okay, so when you think as time goes by, you've been married for 5 years, 10 years, you've gotten to know you understand the person's mental cycle through the action, not through thoughts, through action. Because I feel like a lot of times that thought is overview. When they do overhead flying of plane. If you get to know somebody well after a long period of time, you're able to figure out what their thought is. That's how sometimes somebody can look at somebody, do you understand, and can tell just by looking at their face that they are upset, or they want to cry, or they don't like a conversation being happened. That is what being long enough in a relationship, getting to know the person, is about. No, so I'm talking about this now because, again, I said that something I've noticed that's happened a lot is that a lot of people are in a lot of confusion in their marriages. They say, oh, but he told me he did the dishes. Oh, he told me he was going to pay for this. He told me so it's like you focused on what the person said. Into the marriage, you're looking at yourself and wondering, I am not understanding. I thought you said. He did not. He said, but that's what he does. Do you understand? And one of the things you have to pay attention to is that when I talk about living dishonestly, a lot of people believe that they are something that they are not. The number of people that think they are one thing. Some people think, oh, have you ever heard somebody? It was when I moved to Lagos, I had somebody say, hey, I'm a nice person. I realized everybody say, I'm just a nice person. I don't have wahala. A lot of times they give the most wahala. I had the craziest landlord when I moved to Lagos, So the guys will say, oh, I don't want any problem. I don't like problem. And he says every other day he sees you. I don't have any problem. I'm a very nice man. The guy was one of the most most problematic people I've ever met in my life. You know, so a lot of people are deluded about who they are. They don't know who they are. You get, and when you live in honesty, do you understand? If you're someone that is living honestly, generally, you actually know who you are. You're not delusional. Do you understand? Let me say, I just left it though. You cannot me. It can never be me. A man cannot talk to me that way. A woman cannot. No. My children can never. My money can never. All this thing with the. You show your social media. You see it. You're like, we know. Yes, here we are. You know. So please try and focus more on action than what people say. There are too many people that have been married. There are people that they married outright liars. People that lied about the money they had or they didn't have, lied about who they were, where they worked. Then there are those who may have not lied. They believe that they are a certain kind of person. They tell you, Ellen, I pray every morning. You know, focus on the action. Does this action look like somebody that prays every morning? That's it. I'm telling you, it's so simple. If it's something that is very important to you, but you self as the intending or person that wants to look outside, so either be in relationship or whatever, are you that kind of person? Because you will not be able to recognize it. You know, something my pastor said one time, Pastor Samademi, he said that there is interest in how men, when they want to marry, they come and look for church girl. That's after you do rubbish outside, you come and look for. But what's interesting is that he found that also happens a lot is that when you now find the church girl that you find is just like you, that also came to church. Do you understand? And that is because doesn't recognize like. Do you understand? If you're someone that you value kindness, someone that values kindness cannot be unkind. You cannot be unkind and say you want a kind person. You will marry an unkind. That's how it works. You will meet somebody that shows shege premium because in your mind you don't recognize it. A small he bought me this. Oh, he's so kind. No, that's not kindness. Yes, and that's just the surface of kindness. You know. So I like somebody that's humble. I want a humble. You cannot be proud and want a humble person because you don't understand what pride is like. Yeah, so you don't understand what humility is like. You get. So I don't know. This is a very long. I try to make it as short as possible. I try to make this theory as short as possible. I don't know how to explain. But bottom line, if you don't understand anything, go. Okay, understand one thing. The more we focus on people's actions than the thoughts behind said action, the more we focus on that, the more you get to know people, and it makes it easier for you to know who you're working with when you want to marry or when you're married. Okay, thank you so much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope this video is not long. I thought it was going to be very short. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't already, please subscribe. No, this is like subscribe, subscribe, and leave a comment below and let me know what you think of this theory, and let me just know what's up with you and your relationship. Till next time. Bye.